When I had barely turned 19 years old, my whole world changed because my niece was born. And I don't think there's a better balm for the angst of a 19-year-old than that of becoming an aunt. I learned infinitely about myself from this relationship and still do. But mostly, we had a lot of fun. Once when we were in the forest playing hide and seek, it was my turn to count. Apple, peaches, pumpkin pie, who's not ready, holler I. And running to find her, I spied at the bottom of the tree a little door. And it was beautifully decorated. And there was a little table out front. I was completely astonished at this. I called my niece out of hiding, showed her. We ran around to other trees in the forest. There was another little door that was green and square and carved, and it had a rock pathway out front. Another door still was red and rounded and had a nightlight out front for potential evening visitors. And I was completely dumbfounded as to what to say or do. So I turned to the 6-year-old and I asked, "What do you think is going on here?" And this was a really good idea because she had a lot of thoughts about what was going on around here. She said they were fairy doors and that the fairies were out of town, but they're going to be back and we should make them gifts so that when they come back, they know we're their friends. So we ran around gathering flora and fauna, perhaps glimpsing more fairy habitat. And we laid on the forest floor braiding flowers and making wreaths and talking about what was going on around here. And we still talk about that day now. And when the adrenaline wore off from that moment, a completely satisfied feeling took its place because I knew we had experienced wonder, and it shifted my soul and changed me forever moving forward. And I wanted more of it. But where to find wonder? I knew I had this wonder as a child, being vulnerable and open. I think kids are just more acutely aware of those wonder doors that are waiting to be discovered in the everyday. I could be walking at the mall with my mom. It'd be holidays and decorations are out, and there would be presents wrapped in the store windows, and I would know those presents were for me. I'd say to my mom, "How did they know I was going to be here?" When an uncle told us kids that we could dig to China if we really tried, it's just right below us, that seemed super doable. I took about 5 minutes to put the plan together, gathered the neighborhood kids, and off we went to my backyard tree with our shovels so as to be shaded on our expedition to China. And we dug till we tired out, and we kids laid around the tree looking at the exposed roots. And one kid said, "You know you can eat tree roots. Survivalists do it. They're hydration." This seemed like a great idea, so all of us kids started snapping off roots, gnawing on them. It's awesome. I can only imagine what my mom thought walking outside and seeing a group of kids gnawing on tree roots. But these are just 2 examples of the places that wonder took me as a kid. So many places. And alternately, sometimes the emergent care because my mom just insisted on it. I suspect that the desert of my adolescence blew sands across the wonder doors, obscuring them from my view. And it wasn't until I became an aunt that I realized what I'd been missing. And that is the greatest thing about kids. They challenge you to cast off what you think about yourself. Role model? I didn't think I had any words of wisdom or life experience to give. But something we quickly figured out is that I am really good at play. You can count on me for any games, relay races, marshmallow dodgeball, red light, green light, mother may I, tag, hide and seek, of course, freeze tag. Such a different game because you have to freeze when you're tagged. Hard. Of course, lava monster and any impromptu dancing or singing. The ones I love know that when I do this, they do this, and they furl in, and I fling them out, and we dance to the light of the silvery moon, not the sun, but the moon. The dips are essential. It's most fun. And the neatest thing about being in play with them is I never know what I'm going to say or hear next because we're with wonder. And it just feels so right, and it makes all the difference in my relationship with them. Wonder doesn't just have to be experiences. Wonder can be conversations. I had taken my nephew to go get a Slurpee once, because that's what ants do. They get you Slurpees. And we were in the store waiting, and this other young child was running amok and causing a mess. The adults were trying to get him under control. We watched. And as we walked out of the store with our Slurpees, I turned to my nephew and I asked, "What did you think of that in there?" And he looked at me, squinting into the sun, very Little Rascals-like. He said, "Oh, he was just trying to have a little fun." Was he? And just like those moments with the fairy doors, I experienced a shift. And I knew that I would always want to know what he thinks and feels more than tell him what I know. For parents, a moment like this might invite a teachable moment about manners and behavior. Ants don't care about that. This ant didn't. For me, I just wanted to know more about what was going on in that 4-year-old's head. But fast forward, because now I'm a mom. And I can mom it hard. Yeah. Momming it hard is a term my children gave to me for those times when I'm trying too hard to create the Wonder Door experiences for us. The story of momming it hard goes like this. It's the holidays. I've gone about creating a moment for them, books by the fire with blankets and cocoa. I call them from the room, and one just runs out and pops right down on the couch. The other one slowly comes down the hallway, clearly leaving the best time of her life in that room behind her. She takes in the scene. She's not having it. She looks up at me and says, "Sometimes you mom too hard." Do I? Drink your cocoa. I knew what she meant, though. Sometimes in forcing wonder, it can fall flat. Wonder isn't to be manufactured, it's to be manifested. And a key, if you will, to opening those wonder doors is in staying flexible. In setting aside my idea of play and fun and acquiescing to hers, we ended up having an impromptu fort building session instead. And as I took the pillows off the couch, and then the blankets, and then passed in the cocoa, kind of had another mom moment standing there thinking, where do I fit into all of this? And then the covers yelled, "Get a book, Mom, we can read in the fort." And so we did. Being a parent is so much harder than being an aunt. I know you parents can back me up on this one. You are trying to raise a respectful, responsible, healthy, spiritual, safe, the list goes on, child. There will be no Slurpees. Did you brush your teeth? Did you really brush your teeth? Blow in my face. Go brush your teeth. Do you want me to? Okay. And how will they know what to think and feel if I don't tell them? Some of the first journeys out of our house, to the libraries, to the parks, preschool, we would meet other young families, and these associations are the best, and we still have so many of them. But for me, at that point in my life, they invited comparison. And when I saw other kids achieve, have skills, or manners, I would compare them to my children and find them lacking. My mindset at about this time is evidenced in this quote. The children now love luxury. They have bad manners, contempt for authority. They show disrespect for elders and love chatter in place of exercise. They contradict their parents and gobble up dainties at the table. Pretty much, all counts. And then I read that this was written by Socrates in 469 BC, offering some perspective. Maybe my kids aren't the first to never pick up their towels. maybe kids back then were leaving their togas laying around. Mainly the thought I landed on was that fun, sensitive, shared space that I had had with my nieces and nephews, I didn't have that with my kids. And not for the first time in my life, I asked myself the question, where to find wonder? When you're a freewheeling ant, you just find fairy doors in a forest. But a parent, much harder. And moms and meta-mom mindset, worried about activities and schedules and laundry. Do we have enough for a white load? You know, the real contemplative questions. Where is there time and care to ask what they think and feel? And more than words, what do you think? I submit to you that reading is one of the first places you can find these moments. A teacher trick I learned is to have a copy of a book, and they have a copy of the same book. And you read a page, and they read a page. I don't know why this works, it just does. And when you're reading, you can ask almost any question. Do you think she has brown hair like me or red hair like you? Mom, your hair is black, and she is definitely team red. Is 12 years old enough to babysit? Yes, but only if you don't have to change dirty diapers. They said she's sassy. What do you think sassy is? Sassy is when girls with straight hair do this. Is that sassy? That is sassy. I didn't know that was sassy, but the neatest thing about asking her what she thinks and feels is that I was given a glimpse into her heart and her mind and exactly where she's at this point in her life. And there's so many other gifts with reading. Once, after finishing the second Harry Potter book, my child turned to me with her blanket caped over her shoulders and asked, I need you to tell me the truth, seriously, Mom. Am I going to Hogwarts when I'm 11 years old? What could I say? We'll have to see if you get an owl. I see them around here. Because she needed more of my this than my that. The Hobbit is one of our family's favorite reads. We've read it often, and there's an awesome song in the beginning where the dwarves are singing and cleaning up Bilbo's house. So much fun. And I, like many family traditions, I don't know how this one got started, but we take it upon ourselves to each take a line from the song and ramp it up more raucous than the last. And it's just fun and playful. But the neat thing in creating that sensitive, shared, playful place in the fun, playful things is that same sacred space is available to us when we talk about more complicated things, like relationships, choices, belief. Why do you think Bilbo goes after the dwarves the next morning when they left? He didn't even want to go. He was off the hook. Sometimes when people ask you to do things, you don't want to do them, but then you make friends and you decide to join in. What do you think of Gollum? I don't know what to think of Gollum. Maybe if more kids played with him, he would be nice. We can hope. And I've given reading as an example, but these moments of being present can happen at bedtimes, campfires, game nights, family nights, looking for letterboxes in the forest, so many other places. Now, Momming It Hard is something I wear as a badge of pride because the neat thing about it is them knowing that I'm trying to do this, create these wonder doors or make them more available to us, is that it's been reciprocated on me too. Once I came home, and before I even got out of my car, I spied up in the tree there was an elf with a flute. And as I got out of my car, I heard the most beautiful music play. It was concerning hobbits, one of my favorites. And my daughter had climbed up in the tree to give me this meaningful gift. And as she swung down, I asked her, how did you know to do this for me? And she said, you're not the only one that makes good surprises around here. And so she was right. Although I've been accused of momming it hard, I am never going to stop momming it hard, and that is because I have tasted success. Once, when they were coloring at the table, I just happened to have a pot of tea, and as I walked over, I spontaneously affected a British dialect. "Would you like a spot of tea, darling?" "Mom, what are you doing?" "Your mother had to go out. I'm Nanny. I'll be with you a bit." "Did you draw that horse's mane blowing in the wind because he's galloping so fast?" "I can tell you're such an artist." "Is this your mother's musical instrument? This is your musical instrument? You play in an orchestra? My, you're so accomplished for one so young." And so it came to be on rainy Oregon afternoons that Nanny would visit, and they would tell her things. "Did you get your bicycle fixed? I noticed it was broke the last I was here." "Yes, my dad fixed that because he's the genius around here." "Did you learn anything very fun or interesting in school this week?" "Did you know there's 13 full moons a year, but there's only 12 months? I think there's a 13th month, and it's hidden. I would name it Equestra for the horses." "What would you do during the month of Equestra?" "I would untie my horse from the back porch, and every day I would ride out, and I'd have a pack, so wherever we end up at night, I'll just sleep there." "Would your mother be very worried about you?" "Well, she could come too if she gets her own horse, but she's not very good with animals." And the neatest thing about being with Nanny is I never knew what I would hear or say next because we were with wonder again. I once asked the girls, "Why do you like it so much when Nanny visits?" And I heard, "Because she always says encouraging words, and she never yells." This is true, and the beauty of Nanny is in affecting an accent. You can't really yell. And the other thing about being Nanny is she's so present, and in the present is where the moment expands, and those wonder doors that were waiting for you all the time come into view. You're going to create a relationship one way or another. Why not make it one filled with adventures and conversations and wonderment? As the ones I love grow older and get to choose who they spend time with and where they go, I don't want them to visit me out of only duty or obligation. When the ones I love want to go for a jaunt in the woods and maybe dance a jig, I hope they come get their auntie. And when the ones I love want an encouraging word and no yelling, that they remember the presence of Nanny. And when the ones I love want to come for a cuddle, maybe to read in the fort, and to be around someone who cares what they think and feel, that they come back to me who loves them so much and will never stop momming it hard. Thank you. What do you think?